there is a growing chance for winter storms in the middle, but especially the end of February. But some uncertainty is remains because of the polar vortex and what that will do through the rest of the month. It is trending more of a displacement of the polar vortex, and that one piece of the polar vortex will likely be on the other side of the globe rather than the lower 48, keeping us warmer through next week. Temperatures will be above average. These are temperatures from average as we move into next week, and they are very far above average, 15 to 20 to 25 degrees, even above average across the Midwest. This will make it harder to get snow to happen, but there is signs of snowfall potential as we get to the second half of next week across the upper Midwest, where there may be just enough cold air in place. Taking a look at the upper air pattern for later next week, the blue colors is indicating a trough across the Midwest, and this trough is a decent placement to get a storm system to happen across the upper Midwest or so. But as I showed below before, there's a lot of warm air in place, so there will probably be a chance of thunderstorms for the south with a shield of snow on the very northwest side, probably in the upper Midwest. We are getting closer to that time of the year where if you want a big winter storm to happen, you want to tap into the Arctic air because it's not like January anymore where you just have enough cold air in place in general to get snow to happen. And below is the same thing as yesterday. Look at the stratosphere, and as you can see, as you get to the middle of February, in the stratosphere, there's a lot of warming happening up north in Canada and the Arctic region, but there's not a lobe of Arctic air in the lower 48. There is one east in the Greenland area and one across the globe of Arctic air, but we are stuck in a pretty warm pattern because the polar vortex is being displaced to the other side of the globe. It's not a split like what was previously thought about a week ago that would give us Arctic air in the middle of the month. Without the stratospheric warming happening or a split, you want to look for blocking. And this is a look at the upper air pattern. There's not a lot of blocking happening either. There's quite a bit of troughing taking place in Canada. Now, there is a pretty strong ridge showing up in the Gulf of Alaska, south of Alaska, and that will likely allow for troughing to happen in the west, maybe into the Midwest, and that will bring us that active pattern because of the stout negative PNA pattern that will likely come in the middle of the month, while the east will stay warmer than average. Below is the PNA teleconnection over the next 2 weeks or so, and as you can see, by the time we go to late next weekend into the 9th or so, or 10th, the PNA starts to go negative. This black line, if this blue or green line is north of this black line, is a positive PNA. If these blue or green colors is south of the black line, then it is a negative PNA. And as you can see, we really get into a negative PNA through the middle of February, and that is allowing that troughing to happen in the west. The problem is, at the same time that happens, the WPO, Western Pacific Oscillation, will go to a positive phase through the middle of February. But that is expected because, as you saw, the polar vortex is not behaving well to give us the Arctic air. Now, the EPO will go into a positive phase as we get to the middle of February, and that could help us maybe get some Arctic air to happen, even with that polar vortex being a little bit unfavorable to give us that Arctic air. Now, what are the chances of getting accumulating snow next week in the Midwest? As you look at the ensemble model, the chances of getting an inch or more snow is being shown across the upper Midwest, and that's what we talked about earlier in the video. But as you can see, that is definitely a very northern tract that is being shown. But as we get into the week of the 17th or so, there is some indications of a further south tract starting to happen with chances of an inch or more snow there. Now, the chances are very low because we are far out. We are out by 10 to 12 days or so, and these models tend to be a bit conservative. Now, as we get to the end of February, things may change a little bit again. It's trending colder through the end of February, but these weeklies have not been the best lately. But as you can see, it still sticks with that below average temperatures across the west, warmer in the southern plains, and trying to get below average again in the northeast in the Great Lakes region. As we get into early March, it's trying to even quarter there too. But things will change a lot by then. But before then, we were definitely stuck in a pretty mild pattern through the middle of February, which is lasting longer than it was supposed to. Now, operational models do change quite a bit, but I did want to go over the GFS and European models to see what they might be trying to spit out for the next 2 or 2.5 weeks or so. Next week, the middle of next week, the GFS does have a system happening, and I'm pretty confident that there will be a system the second half of next week. But again, there will be warmer air in place, so probably a further north track. Now, this is the GFS, which will change 1,000 times. Plus, this model is not that good of a model to begin with, but it is indicating a system the middle to end of next week. Not a very strong system, but it is a pretty active pattern, anyways, or so. As we get into next weekend, it actually has it being pretty dry, and then that model run is just coming out now. So that's another reason why it's doing that. But now onto the European model, which is a better model. It is also showing a system the middle of next week to get there. A further north track than the GFS, which I agree with more. And the middle chances of snow will definitely be in the northern plains or so, with chances of rain or even thunderstorms further south that is being showing up. I wouldn't be surprised if, the temperatures could get pretty warm the middle of next week if this northern track verifies. We could get into the 50s up to the I-80 corridor, up into Iowa, but then a sharp temperature gradient north of there. As we get to the week of the 17th, this model is also indicating a pretty big system. Again, this can change a lot, but I'm just trying to show the active pattern that is moving in as we get to the middle of the month, which these models are starting to show, which tend to be pretty late showing that stuff. An ensemble, which is a better look at long-range forecasting for snowfall totals, has greatest totals being further north and the Midwest, with lighter totals as you get further south as well. But as you can see, once we get to the 15th, the 16th, or 17th, the snowfall totals start to rise the further south you go. The GFS ensembles is a bit more aggressive, with higher snowfall totals further south into like Iowa or just the Corn Belt or so. But that is also mainly not until late next weekend or the week of the 18th either. So I think you guys are starting to get a handle of next week is a very northern track, which has not been the case pretty much at all this winter. Then the week of the 18th, the storm track begins to shift south as we get that negative PNA and some ridging across the northeast and southeast. Kind of like what happened in the end of November and early December, which we had that winter storm, and it's been kind of quiet lately. Now, before I end this video, I want to go back to this map, and I wanted to highlight an area, if I had a guess, for the time frame of the 14th through the 22nd or so of February. This is where the greatest chances of a winter storm will happen, because with the trough in the west and the ridging in the east, there will likely be an area of low pressure that will move through Colorado and into the plains before moving across the Midwest. Again, it's been a while since we've had this pattern, but this pattern coming up looks active. We just need to tap into the Arctic air, which may be a problem next week. As we get into the week of the 18th, we should be able to tap into just enough Arctic air to get a couple larger systems to materialize. There could even be chances of severe weather on the south side of these systems, with winter weather on the north side of these systems. So you're definitely nearing the spring-like systems.